Okay, so why don't let's talk about I just need a minute or two here on the nicknames. Are you guys good with the nicknames already?
I'm good.
I have mine.
Then I'll go last. Then how about that?
All right, that works for me.
All right, you started off there, Chief.
Mr. Hand.
So the first two that came to mind when we were talking about this were Kid Rock and Big Money Matt. I think those are just givens. Those are two drivers that I pay a lot of attention to. And I feel like their names, as far as nicknames, get thrown around definitely the most in short track racing.
When you spell Kid Rock, how do you spell it?
I'd supposed to be spelled R-O-C-K, but R-O-C-C is the way you want to do it.
It should just be R-O-C. Yeah,
really?
When it's Keith Rocco. Yeah, there's no K in his name. Yep.
Oh, when I was doing a little research, every single page had it spelled R-O-C-K.
In reference to Keith?
Yeah.
Well, there's just those aren't smart people. That's
they're
all I'm
wrong.
Say. Yeah, they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Not R-O-C-C. You don't want R-O-C-C?
R-O-C.
Just R-O-C.
I've cut a lot of decals for that guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You know officially, right?
Kid
You've done his
Rock,
car.
R-O-C.
Interesting. All right. I appreciate the correction.
I love that guy too, man.
He'll come up again when we do our next Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is one my dad talks about a lot from his days at the Speedbowl as a kid. Farmer Phil Rondeau.
Whoa!
Yes.
Yep.
Good call.
Good one, bro.
Good
a
freaking
lot of memories
call,
apparently
dude.
my dad has. Yep.
I was not expecting that from you. I gotta
Me
tell you.
either.
Farmer Phil.
Yep, that's a good one.
I was like, Dad, who's your favorite driver? And he's like, oh, I don't know, Clint Boyer. I'm like, nah, from your era. He's like, oh, it's either Richard Petty or Farmer Phil Rondeau.
Yes. Great. Tell your dad kudos, man.
Well
I
done.
absolutely will.
Cool dude.
Well done, Papa Han.
Well done, Papa Han. You got to get the roll of the tongue. All right,
Oh, God, he's going to be watching this, too.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, I have Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer.
Oh, yeah. I didn't write that name down. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it's one of the ones that made it to Cup, too, so you know it's extra special.
Yeah.
Yep.
That guy was awesome.
Oh, dude, his rivalry with Kurt Busch is legendary.
Dude, he's just such I don't know if that's another episode, but man, was he a bulldog.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
He was that guy. If you got into him once, he might let it go. You got into him a second time.
It's over. It's over. He's sending you.
And then he's getting out.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's going to beat your ass.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
Oh, man.
All right, that's a good list. Quality. What do you got, Diego?
Dude, we went through this last night. I've got 2 pages
Of names?
of names.
Wow.
And if you guys ever want me to run them off, I can. But if you don't, I understand.
I mean, give us your best honorable mentions.
All
We
right.
got time.
I'm going to give you, there's a few honorable mentions.
Okay. Now, is that what you're giving us first?
Yes.
Okay.
Names that I think, and not in particular that I want to give this guy a lot, I've had a lot of battles with him. A guy like Chris Moose Doughton.
Yeah.
They actually call him Moose. I don't know if that's his middle name.
More so than Moose Hewitt, you're going to give it to Moose Doughton.
So, no, Moose Hewitt is also
Okay.
on my.
I mean, he's the OG Moose in local
old-
circles.
Yeah, so both of them, their names, they actually called them Moose,
Yep.
which really sticks around.
So can I just give you a little something on that tip?
Sure.
So when I started doing the Speedbowl history site, I was a stickler for let me get these people's real names. And it was kind of fun to kind of figure out people's real names.
Yep.
But then I realized it was kind of, as the site grew and I needed more space, I couldn't have the first name, quote, George Moose Hewitt, Chris
Right.
Moose Doughton. So I ended up changing it to what were they known as.
Right.
And with both of these guys now, if you go on Speedbowl history, it's just Moose Hewitt or Moose Doughton.
Dude,
and you know who that is.
I called Kyle Guerrero last night because this is his grandfather.
Yeah,
I'm
of course, yeah.
I'm like, what was your grandfather's first name? I just want to know.
Yeah, George.
And he said George. I said, okay, perfect. That's what I thought.
Fun fact. Kyle's great uncle,
he had a nickname too.
Moose Hewitt's brother, Ben Turk Hewitt,
Was a nickname.
and was a champion at the Speedbowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was a bomber champ.
So Kyle gave me that nugget too
Yep.
last night.
Yeah.
Right, which is was that his great grandfather?
No, Moose was his grandfather, so Turk was his great uncle.
Great uncle.
Yeah.
So he gave me that little
Yeah, it's a
tidbit
good
last
one.
night. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've gone to that extent that I actually called people because I wanted to know, like, when you get called by your nickname
Yeah.
every day.
Did he call him like Grandpa Moose?
I didn't ask him that.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him that, but I did sit down with. I was having dinner with Rich Hearn,
Yep.
and he lived in the neighborhood.
In Montville?
And he said, Diego, I remember as a kid we used to ride our bikes down the little hill, and we would sit and pull into the shop, and Moose was always welcome. They would always be working on the modifieds.
Yeah.
He says it was just remarkable back then. I remember like it was yesterday.
That's where Kyle still does his cars.
Yes, same shop.
Yep.
And he said we used to walk into the shop, and Moose was always welcoming, and they would a bunch of guys in there working.
That's right down the street from your place now.
Right down the road
Yeah.
from me.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot of history in that building.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, so
I remember Kyle gave me a bunch of like scrapbooks to scan for the archives.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so cool that I was going to Moose Hewitt's old shop to pick them up.
yeah.
It was really neat.
Yeah, that is so
Yeah.
cool. So I've been in their shop multiple times,
Yeah.
and so it's just fun to look around.
You can
in
like
there.
feel the history in
Oh,
places
yeah.
like that, right?
Oh,
When
yeah.
you walk in, you're like, holy
Yep. I'm going to run off a couple small names that were influences or that we had fun with. One of them is Leadfoot Larry.
Oh, yeah, Larry Barnett.
It's a good name,
Yep.
right? My brother's was the Hammer,
Yep.
right? I do like the High Roller.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Now, is your brother's the Hammer or is it the Velvet Hammer?
Well, later on in life, it became the Velvet Hammer.
Yeah.
But he was always Sean the Hammer Monahan.
That's what I saw. Yeah, okay.
right. And so while we're on this subject, it's a shame. It's sad to see what happened to Buckler, but he's the king
Yeah.
of nicknames. And some of these names that I'd give you right now, like one of my favorites was Jimmy the Animal Lloyd.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that comes from
Yep.
Joe Golis, I think.
Think so.
Right. But Jimmy the Animal Lloyd, what a nickname. It sounds like a
It's a
wrestler.
great nickname. Yep.
Right.
George the Animal Steel. Yep.
Right. And so
But go back to, I mean, High Roller. I'm surprised that's not on your mount. I mean, that's a great nickname.
it's a great nickname, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's on my mention, honorable mention.
Like when he's in a Sid's View episode and we're commentating in the grandstands, we don't say Andrew Muller. We're like, oh, High Roller to the outside. Yeah.
And it's a great nickname, and they have definitely embodied the whole
For
name.
sure.
Their shirts are always with casino themed.
Yeah.
They're awesome. I like that. I'm a big fan of Moeller anyways.
Yep.
So, and right along with him is Joey Walnuts, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I got him in my honorable mentions. That's a great
so
nickname.
Joey Walnuts are in there. I'm going to tell you this. I picked names that I didn't think any of you guys were going to pick because I knew Showtime blew it.
Yeah.
I knew Kid Rock, the
Yeah,
big
so you're
money.
trying to go outside the box.
Those names that like you mentioned
Yeah.
are awesome. And everybody's going to mention them because they're awesome.
Yep.
And
Well, it is
That's
the
why I
Mount
put him on the Mount
It
Rushmore.
is the Mount Rushmore.
a nice little thing that I wanted to bring up too is the Mad Dog and the Mad Pup.
Ooh, yeah,
Oh,
those
yeah,
are
it's
good.
cool.
Those are good.
Yeah.
The Mad Dog, the
set.
Mad Pup.
Yep.
Really, really, really cool names. I'm gonna
Because we haven't mentioned George Jr. enough on this podcast.
right, but I have to give father and son.
No,
is
that's
awesome.
a good one. Yeah, that's a
Yep.
good one.
I'm gonna give a couple more honorable mentions, and I'm done. I'm going to my main ones. I'm giving a shout out to my boy Tommy the Silva
Yeah, that's
Bullet.
a good one. He's on my list.
It's a great
It's a
name.
great nickname. Yep.
And I'm gonna say my last one. This is for my sister-in-law, and I made this one up. Fine ass Summers. Because all the ladies think Robbie Summers is it.
Fine ass
Summers.
Summers. Okay.
Right.
Look at you, Rob. Well done.
Yep.
Oh,
all right.
wow.
Oh, Rob.
I like that.
So I'm going to go to my Mount Rushmore. So here we go.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes. You're going to love this one. He has two nicknames. The first one was Hollywood. And the second one is the Godfather.
Oh, Janovic?
Yes. I love
Janovic's name was Hollywood?
Yes. Yes,
Huh.
it was Hollywood
I'm not
first.
aware of that.
He's the only guy that has two nicknames, and I love it.
Wow.
But I do like The Godfather.
I thought Hollywood was Tony Membrino Jr.
Well, that was him too. Maybe they when Membrino. I didn't put him on my list.
yeah.
That's what happens when you get out of racing.
I don't remember. I don't remember Rob being called Hollywood.
I'm almost certain he was Hollywood for a while.
When we first did video work, my man Gail Saunders was down here helping us.
Mm-hmm.
He called Rob the human sound the human soundbite.
The human soundbite.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Well, because Gail didn't know anything about racing.
Yep.
And that year
Who were you talking about?
Gail Saunders.
Mr. Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we came down to our first video thing, and it was Dennis Gaeta, Jeff Pearl, Eddie Reed, Ron Uhas, all these quiet guys, and then Rob.
Right.
And he was like, and so we did Rob's interview. We got in the car. He's like, wow, that guy's a human soundbite, huh?
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, speaking of which, you see this right here? You see this?
Yeah.
That's the official Stafford Facebook page, spelling it Kid Rock ROCK.
Yeah, so Stafford has it wrong.
A lot of people have it wrong.
They do a lot of things right, but that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Look on his freaking car.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is no K in his name. It's true.
I'm going by what's on his car.
Yep.
All right, hit it.
Second, I didn't think he was going to do this. Farmer Phil.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Farmer Phil made my list.
Yep.
Nice.
And that was because I didn't think anybody was going to get it. So, but it's still a great name.
Yep.
Awesome. And I said to my brother and them last night, we were going over these.
Yeah.
He says he truly was a farmer, I think.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, that's awesome.
Yeah. By the
So-
way, do you know why he's number 19?
No clue.
He was a big Moose Hewitt fan when he was a kid.
Really?
Yep.
He was so good.
Yeah.
God, he was
And he
tremendous.
did grow up on a farm. That's where he got that
he's
name.
tremendous.
Yep.
All right. You ready for my third one?
Hit it.
Let's get ready to rumble for Joltin' Johnny Brower.
Oh, yeah, Jolt and Johnny. That's a good one.
Jolt and Johnny Brower.
Yep.
Praise him, man. He is the king of personality, dude.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Brower
Dude,
landed
he
the
was
pit.
Great.
Yeah.
He's
a
better. He was
character.
better than good, and he could drive.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a shoe. So that was that 2 or 3?
That's 3. You got The Godfather, Farmer Phil, Jolt and Johnny, and
Flying.
Brian
McCarthy.
Yeah, that's a good one, too.
And it was true.
Yeah.
Him in the old Perkins car back in the day, Flying Brian McCarthy. So that's my Mount
That's pretty
Rushmore.
good.
Now, were these like mostly Speedbowl guys?
This Flying Brian was a late model guy at the Speedbowl.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
never heard of Jolt and Johnny Brower?
Nope.
Holy
Yeah.
God. Sid,
I
give
mean-
him some videos.
True, but Brower is definitely Speedbowl specific. Like if
Yeah,
you're
but
not
he-
our age and didn't grow up at the Speedbowl at our age,
He
I
ran-
can see why you don't know who he
Yeah,
is.
he ran 2 or 3 seasons, Thompson,
Yeah.
but he wasn't nearly. He was tremendous, Fro, at the Speedbowl.
I believe it.
He
I
would
mean-
come out with his cars were always hand painted, radical designs. He would come out with like sparklers.
The best paint
Oh,
jobs.
nice.
Yeah, he would.
No,
always,
he had glow sticks hanging from the dash.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Outside intros, he'd come take his helmet off. He'd have like some sort of like clown hat or jack-o'-lantern hat,
Oh.
something crazy. He always did something that was as a kid, you
ev-
just gravitated towards him.
Everything was a show.
Yep.
Everything was a show.
And
so.
his grandfather was a former owner of the Speedbowl, so he understood the value of putting on a show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Which
And
is kind
that's-
of missing in a lot of racing.
That's what
now.
I said earlier.
Yeah.
It's missing.
It
Right.
needs to be a show at the end of the day.
All right. So I'm going to give a couple honorable mentions. 2 of them you already named, Joey Walnuts and Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
And so just a little bit more. Joey Walnuts is funny to me because obviously it's a play on Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos.
Yep.
And Joey Ternulo started that nickname when he was like 8 driving NLARO cars, which
Yeah.
was kind of funny that he was, as an 8-year-old, he's taking up Paulie Walnut's moniker.
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of weird. And then Silver Bullet, which I love, but it only works because Tommy's fast.
He is fast.
If he was like a field filler in the middle of the pack,
Yeah.
that name sucks.
Yeah,
but because
yeah.
he's fast, it works. 2 other honorable mentions, and I mentioned these maybe for selfish reasons because I made these nicknames, and that is the Diesel Vin Esposito.
That you made that name?
Yep.
That's a good one.
And Stone Cold for Al Stone.
Yep.
I made those names up in my days on the Jeff Pearl site when I did my recaps then. And I remember Vinny at first was not thrilled about the nickname because I guess he wasn't a Vin Diesel fan.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, but that's not.
That's a good name,
That's not
though.
what it's about, though. It's
Yeah.
about racing, fuel. Yeah. And then he kind of
I
embraced
got a
it.
question. Do you like those two guys?
Like personally,
Yeah.
I do. Yeah,
And I always feel like people get mainly only the good guys get nicknames, if that makes sense. People that get nicknames, people like you. That's what I feel like a little bit. Maybe
that's a
not,
good point. Yeah.
right?
Or they like endearingly
Like I call you Fro.
Right.
You're just a good dude. So,
Like even if you kind of play the villain, like if you,
Right.
you can play the heel and still be
Right.
likable. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like an endearing nickname.
By the way, this just came to mind. It's not on my list, but you were saying the only guy with 2 nicknames. But Bruce Thomas was at one point called the Battleship.
was he? So
and
we
then
were
at
trying
one-
to.
and then at one point he was called the Truth.
The Truth was
Yeah.
his nickname.
But before that was Battleship Bruce.
Oh, okay.
That was a Buckler special. So he had a couple.
So I wrote down Chaspy Whisperer.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause
Oh, that's true too. Right. Yeah.
Right. So what is his real nickname? Because we were trying to figure this out last night. The Truth is a good one.
Yeah.
Brody wants his name to be the Professor.
Brody wants him to be the professor.
No, Brody. I said, Brody, what about if your nickname's Brody the Professor Monty? He goes, oh, I like that.
Yeah, but that's Jay Stewart's nickname.
Oh, is it?
No, yeah, Jay the Professor Stewart.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't know what Jay's was.
Yeah, it was the professor.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have to cancel that one off the list.
So
Okay.
you're responsible for the Stone Cold Al Stone?
So in my pre-video days, I did like online blogging and I did like
Yeah.
recaps, and so that's and
Oh.
I made nicknames for a lot of people.
That site was tremendous.
and those 2
Oh.
nicknames. So I had 4 nicknames I take credit for: Vin Diesel Esposito, Stone Cold for Al Stone, Gary Danko, who used to have a radio show. I used to call that "Rockin' the Danko phone" if you like went on a show.
Yep.
And then Corshane at the time still worked at the Hartford Current, and his thing was a racing blog, and I used to call him Blogger Boy,
Wow.
which I still throw out every once in a while.
Oh yeah, no, that name stuck.
Yeah. So those are the 4 that I've kind of taken credit for.
Wow. Shout out Steve Austin.
I was going to try to mix them up to names that we hadn't mentioned before, but I still think these are the best, and 3 of them have been mentioned, and that is Farmer Phil,
Yeah.
Kid Rock, and Showtime Jimmy Blewett.
Yep.
I mean, the Showtime one is just freaking perfect. You want to talk
Tremendous.
about personalities, and Jimmy's got it. And so, I mean, it's just excellent. Actually, just an honorable mention because we haven't mentioned him, but Corey Hutchins, the entertainer.
I have him written down.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one
I have him written down.
because he's a pretty entertaining guy to watch race. That's for sure.
I mean, I know I'm gonna go up, but there was Lightning Larry Lanphier,
Yeah. Lightning Larry.
or
Yeah.
Big Country.
Oh, how did we forget Big Country?
Right.
That's
Big-
a good one.
I
Yeah.
had Ron Boots Cody,
Oh, yeah. Boots.
right? The Real Deal Beal.
Yeah. Or the banana peel, as
Or
I
the
say.
banana
It
peel.
depends.
You have Live Wire,
Another good one.
the Comeback Kid.
Yeah, I never really liked that one. That's Galvin.
That's
yeah, I
Galvin.
never really liked that
I
one.
had, did I tell you Rick Sleepy Nap?
Oh, yes. Because everyone, so like, yeah, most people know him as Sleepy Nap.
Sleepy Nap.
Yeah. All right,
Right.
so hold on. Before you go any further, let
I
me
can
just
keep
give you.
going. I
let me
got
give you my
names.
last one,
All right.
which I think, and we've kind of mentioned this. I don't know if it was offline or not, but this is the grandfather of all great nicknames, and that's Bugsy Stevens.
Okay.
And everybody thinks that that's actually his name, and his name is Carl Bergman.
Carl Bergman.
What?
Yeah, he changed his name to Bug. His middle name is Steven, and he changed it to Bugsy Steven because he started racing when he was in the service, and it wasn't cool to be racing and put your life in jeopardy. Of course, back then it was a lot more unsafe than racing today,
Yeah, exactly.
and so they weren't fond of you racing. So a lot of guys that did that changed their
names?
Yeah,
Wow.
yep. And a big pet peeve of mine is that people will put like Carl quote Bugsy Stevens, and it's not. It's Carl quote Bugsy Stevens end quote Bergman. They all, it's kind of
Right.
that's just as a statistician and a
Yep.
stickler
Oh,
for
like
that stuff.
Bugsy quote.
Like they
Like in the
like
quotes,
his
just
name is
Bugsy.
Carl
Yeah,
Stevens,
yeah.
and they call him Bugsy, but
Yeah.
his name's Carl Bergman,
Yeah.
and they call him Bugsy Stevens.
Right.
And he's a great guy. You want to talk about personality? He's old school, but he's a great guy and still with us, even though he's in his later years. But to me, that's the godfather of all great nicknames.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But you just dropped a ton of them, man. I forgot like Livewire. There's
Well, I mean, listen, because they all deserve mentions, right? Like
Yeah.
the King.
Johnny Gambino.
That's right.
Yep.
Right. The King. I had I had Priest Lightning.
Yep. Another good one.
Yep. Big Money Matt.
Yep.
You had Airtime Jordan,
Oh yeah, that's right.
right? The Lutz Cracker.
No, that's a good one.
I had Jake the Jet, and the Technician, which is
Pulio.
Pulio.
Right? Yep. Forgot about that.
And
Yep.
and Sean Gadeke is Giggity,
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
right? So I mean, I had literally I have 2 pages. Once we got on this kick, I was like, so I did this with a group of people last night, and I'm like, my brother is he's almost a historian like you.
Yeah.
He collects pictures.
Yep.
We play games where he'll flash a car, and you have to name the driver, right? So he has.
That's a pretty good game.
Archives.
I like that.
Archives. Or if we're bored and on the road or something, he'll say number 90 late model, number 21 RI, like George Brayton.
Yeah.
All these guys that influenced us in our young years.
Right.
And our memories are sharp with those. So we always have played games. We would even shout out sponsors.
You reminded me of me and my guys that I grew up with. We always do Little League trivia.
Yeah.
If you mention a name, you got to tell what
That's
Little League
right.
team they were on.
Right.
It sounds like a similar kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's a lot of fun to do,
Yeah,
and it
for
keeps you
sure.
sharp.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So, yeah. So,
Oh, another
Yeah.
nickname.
Yeah.
Ready? Billy Bear Colicchio.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows
Yeah,
who
but-
Bear. Nobody goes up to him and says, "What's up, Billy?"
Right.
Everybody calls him Bear.
Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's so many. That's what I said.
Even mine. You know how many people think Sid's my real name?
So that was the question
Yeah, I did
last
the
night.
first time I worked for you. I
Yeah.
really did.
So the question was last night was about you.
Yeah.
They wanted to know, how did he get the name Sid? I'm like, his real name's Tom.
Yeah.
And
So my Portuguese family name is Fernandes.
Yep.
And it was a conversation when I played baseball. When I was in school, maybe it was the same for you, but Killingly, for some odd reason, was in our conference, even though
Yep.
it was like an hour away. And so we were driving either to or from a baseball game in Killingly, and we were just talking about family names, and that came up. And my buddy Appleby was like, "Oh, like Sid Fernandez," because at the time he was pitching on the Mets.
For the Mets. Oh, yeah, I remember.
So it just kind of stuck with like my close friends.
Oh, right.
Okay, but then when Richie started racing, and I started going to the racetrack, that guy Tom Parrish was his crew chief.
Yep,
Remember him?
I remember
right?
Tom. Oh, yeah.
And so when we were all together and somebody said Tom, we would both turn around, and Richie knew my friends called me Sid.
Right.
And so he's like, "Why don't you just call him Sid?" And so that's how it blossomed. And then obviously when I started on the Pearl site, that's what my moniker was, and that's how it
Yeah.
translated to the racing world.
Right. So that truly is a nickname.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
for sure.
Yeah.
that's actually kind of unbelievable. I feel like I just unlocked a new piece of like the Sid's View lore, bro.
No,
It's
seriously.
crazy.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
that was part of our conversation. They were like, I think Brody said, is that part of his middle name or something? And I'm like, I don't
Nah,
think so.
I've had people come up and think my name's Sydney. I think one of my
I call you Sydney a lot.
one of my friends' ex-girlfriends thought my real name was Cedric.
Really?
Hell yeah. I've had some
It's like
gems.
a good, yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
good porn name.
Yeah, Cedric.
DiMaggio. Comes out like a robe.
All right, we're way off topic
Yeah,
now.
what the hell?
Okay. All right, we did good there. We'll wrap that one up.